everyone, I'm Callie.
I'm Lauren.
And welcome to the Book Common Room podcast. Sometimes it's kind of a tongue twister. Book Common Room podcast. All right, welcome back to our spoiler-filled episode. I did like how you said last time, this has been out for so long. There's so many adaptations.
If you're getting spoiled, it's your fault.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
It's been out there. You probably already know the spoilers, but they're in the off chance someone didn't know the story, we wanted to still split it up.
Yeah.
But we kind of just wanted to get into, chat through our reading experiences, just like normal, some scenes or quotes we like. But Lauren, do you want to start off? What was your reading experience like? How did you like it?
I loved it so much. So the concept that the story is giving at the very beginning is Marley's dead, very clearly. He is dead. He is dead as a doornail.
Even though he doesn't get why a doornail. I love that whole thing. He's like, why do we say doornail? Why don't we say coffin nail? I feel like coffin nail is more deader, but whatever. I'll just say doornail.
It's more deader. I think that's so funny that he says that. But it's there's this idea that he's expressing through Marley. The people that didn't do good in their lives are stuck wandering the earth, wanting to help people, but they can't. Mm-hmm. That's their curse.
I thought that was... Sorry.
No,
I just got chills thinking about that.
It's a beautiful, concept. Mm-hmm. There's, these spirits, their hell is the fact that they can't help people. And, so, Marley, there's, these other ghosts that show up that are, lamenting because they're there was a lady outside holding a child and she needed help and I can't help her. Mm-hmm. And that's their punishment is because they're wandering the earth, not being able to help people.
Which is an interesting concept, right? Because it's on Earth, especially Marley, who had tons of money, probably could have helped that woman, but he was so blindsided. Yeah. And so now that he sees it all and he's got these chains on him, he can't do anything. Yeah. And he can't go back.
Yep. And so Marley, you never really get this, but I feel like part of him is redeemed because of how he helps Scrooge. Yeah. He was able to help him. Mm-hmm. So I hope that he found some sort of rest. But that's the premise of the story. So I already loved that from the get-go. And I didn't know that in the film adaptation.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know these spirits or these ghosts are just stuck not being able to help people, and then you get Christmas ghosts.
I feel like they mostly just focus on the chains. Yeah. Some adaptations, he's covered in chains, and he's super heavy, and he's drudging along, and that's the image that they focus on. Yeah. Versus in the book, it was just a chain around his waist. Yeah. And it just went on for a long time, right? Yeah. It was really long.
It says what it's connected to, and I can't remember.
But I can't remember either.
But that's okay. I feel just for the purpose of our reading experience, I'm sure if we read it more and more, we'll understand and remember all these things, but we're just going to talk about the things that kind of stuck out to us. But
I liked how it did more focus on the fact that he couldn't help the mom and the child that needed help. Yeah. He was stuck, dead.
Yeah. And so his only way to really help people is through Scrooge, and reminding Scrooge, you're going to end up like me, and if you don't change. Yeah. And so that was the premise. And Scrooge was obviously scared, but also having a really hard time believing any of this was going to happen. But
even up to before all of that happens, we kind of talked about this in the last episode, but Scrooge has money, lots of money, but he lives like he doesn't have any. Yeah. So you've got the movie adaptations, at least the most recent one that
He's eating gruel in the book.
But it's no coal, poor little, his name's Bob, right?
Bob Cratchit?
Yeah, Bob Cratchit has no fire, and he's by this candle trying to heat himself. And because Scrooge is so stingy. Yeah. And just won't let him use more coal. Yeah. But I also like the line where Scrooge doesn't, heat or cold doesn't bother him. No. He is just basically not a human. He's basically dead already. Yeah. Is what it feels like to me. Yeah. And then he goes to this place that's just dreary, dark. He's gonna eat the worst of the worst foods. He's just living the worst life.
He could have a roaring fire, meats galore, but he chooses to have a tiny fire with his gruel and has to pull his seat up super far up so he can get some warmth.
Yeah.
And so he just, he kind of is living not a rich life. Like, he's so wealthy, but it doesn't seem like he
is wealthy, but he's not living wealthy.
Yeah, it's weird.
I wonder if the point is because money isn't what makes people rich.
No.
I think that's the point of it.
Yeah.
It's like, even though he has the money, he's not rich.
I think it also comes down to, like, and I have had these, like, conversations before, but it's like, money is meant to be spent. Mm-hmm. And, like, there's a lot of debate on, like, how it's spent, but it really does come to, like, what does it mean to live a rich life? And it's not so much the materials. Mm-hmm. So if he's spending money on others, that's money well spent, kind of a thing.
And he has more money than he could ever spend in his whole lifetime.
Yeah.
His kid's lifetime. His grandkid's lifetime. Well, that's the other thing. He doesn't have children of his own.
And that he laments that. Mm-hmm. He, like, talks about when it goes to his past and he sees the girl he would have ended up with and then her with a family. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, man, like, I missed out on the chance of being a dad. Like, a good dad. And, like, he sees how good of a father the girl ended up with. Mm-hmm. Who wasn't him. And also, that whole part was amazing. Like, like, the girl that he was, like, this is the stuff you don't get in movie adaptations that are just so worth talking about. Mm-hmm. But he was engaged to this girl for a long time. Mm-hmm. And she broke it off because she didn't want him to regret it.
Yeah.
It was a selfless act, what she was doing. And she was like, and you don't understand this right now, but you will. Yeah. And then he sees the vision of her with a family, and he gets it. Yeah. And he was like, the state I was, I couldn't have done that.
Well, I also like how it went into his past a little bit, how his parents just dropped him off at this school and left him there. Yeah. And then the sister that was an angel was really the only one that loved him. And then she just ended up dying. Yeah. And I don't know, I just thought getting the background was interesting because you do feel bad for kid Scrooge, but he's still this, like, grumpy old guy that turned into something that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah, it wasn't so much a product of his childhood because he had, what's his name, like Fuzzywigs or whatever. Mm-hmm. That teacher was so kind. Yeah. He would give them work off. It would be Christmas time. He would throw festivities. Like, he had parties that he would invite him and his buddy to. And so he had, like, good examples early on of how to be a good boss, like how, like, to be a good person. But then, like, he fixates on money. Yeah. So there's just so many parts. Like, I feel like I'll end up going through a timeline, which we don't really need to do because we all, like, understand it. But something that I feel like I might have known, but I didn't remember when I was reading this, was when the ghost of Christmas Present is, like, fading away because he doesn't last very long because he's the ghost of Christmas Present. It's the end of the day and he's already shown him, like, this is what families are dealing with right now. Because he already was like, oh no, Tiny Tim. Like, he was showing, like, a soft heart throughout watching people.
He felt so bad for them.
Yeah. And he was like, oh my gosh, like, where's this? Like, where's this? How can...
He's also like, oh, I wish I could go back and do this for this person, but I can't anymore. Yeah. Because it's in the past.
It's in the past. And so that was Christmas past. And then Christmas present, he's starting to dwindle away. And as he dwindles away, Scrooge notices something. And he's like, there's something, like, in his robes. And then as he disappears, there's these two kids. And I was like, what the heck is happening? And I just need to find what he says because it's such, like, I couldn't write the way he wrote about it because it was just so beautiful. But it was basically, like, what the kids represent, and I know what that is, but I just want to find it.
Yeah, because that is in at least the newest adaptation, page 92.
Page 9. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, so there's this scene, and we'll put, like, a picture up so we know, like, you can visually see what we're talking about if you're watching, like, our video. It says, from the foldings of its robe, the ghost of Christmas Present, it brought two children, wretched, abject, frightful, hideous, miserable. They knelt down at its feet and clung upon the outside of its garment. I also think it's important that this is the ghost of Christmas Present. Like, that. It wasn't, like, the future. It wasn't the past. Like, this is happening now. They were a boy and a girl, yellow, meager, ragged, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate, too, in their humility. Where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints, a stale and shriveled hand like that of age had pinched and twisted them and pulled them into shreds. Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked and glared out menacing. No change, no degradation, no perversion of humanity in any grade through all the mysteries of wonderful creation has monsters half so horrible and dread. And that's just like so sad. It's like the world created this. Like the world did this. Yeah. It wasn't that they were born this way. It was that the world had done this to them. And this is like where Scrooge is so touched. Like he's so touched because these children are representing two things. The boy is ignorance and the girl is want. But the boy also represents doom, they later say. And Scrooge is like so softened about this. And the ghost of Christmas Present throws something right back to Scrooge, to something what he had said before. Because a guy had come in at the beginning of the book asking for donations for, it's for people that are basically like, they have no money. Who were they? Like, was it for prisoners or I can't remember what the money was being asked for.
I think it was the homeless children, I think is what it was. Yeah. Because then he responds with
are there no prisons? Yeah.
Are there no workhouses for them to go to? And that's his answer.
Yeah. He responds by basically saying like...
Or just let them die.
Yeah. He's like, there's other ways that they can get money. And if they don't,
and
that's the way the world is.
And it'll drop the surplus of the population.
Yeah. So that was Scrooge's response. That is the man he was when this man came. And he like scared this man away. Mm-hmm. And so then Scrooge says, deny it, cried, or like, no, the spirit says this. He says, deny it, cried the spirit, stretching out his hand towards the city. Slander those who tell it ye, admit it for your ferocious purposes, and make it worse, and bide the end. And then Scrooge cries, have they no refuge or resources? And then the ghost of Christmas Present says, are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Like, he throws it right back. I just got, like, chills. But it's like, Scrooge is, like, literally getting fed his words from this ghost of Christmas Present. And he's not doing maliciously at Scrooge. He's saying, like, this is what your response was.
And like, this is, like, happening right now.
This is happening right now.
This is the state of children. And you're looking at the kids in front of you and you feel so bad. But what did you just say?
Yeah. And then right after, the ghost of the future comes and it's, like, this hooded figure shows up right after.
And like mist. Scary.
And like mist is funny. So that part I think is like a pivotal part in the book because it's both Dickens' social commentary, but also like I love how he tied it to Scrooge, and like so many rich people say that. They are just like, I don't know, I get it too much at the university where people that are poor, that are homeless, where they are like, well, there's so many opportunities for them to like make money.
Why don't they just like go get a job?
Why don't they just go get a job?
Like just go work
like
at
it's their fault like this. And I'm like, wow. Like maybe there's an extent, and Scrooge is using children because children shouldn't be doing that. And so it makes it more like harder for people to deny. But I do think if it was like adults, it'd be easier to say, are there no prisons, are there no workhouses?
Yeah. Well, at the time too, wasn't there this like assumed pipeline? If kids were homeless and on the streets, they would usually end up in a workhouse or a prison. Like that's just like the only options for them. So I think it's also he's just pointing it back at the people. Yeah. Like, hey, this is the pipeline that we have going for these kids. Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah. And so that part I think was one of my favorite parts in the story and favorite scenes because I don't know, like, I just remember reading that and being like, oh,
mic drop.
Just like, mic drop from the ghost of Christmas Present or whatever. But it was just, it was really good. Anyways, I want to hear more of what yours are, like your scenes. I know that we probably share a lot of the same ones.
I was about to say, we share a lot of the same. I just pulled some quotes from it. I loved the aspect of like bringing back to like happiness and laughter, and how at the beginning Scrooge was just gray and blah. He had no color, no warmth, no nothing to him. He never laughed, he never smiled. Yeah. But then as the story went along, like he found that and he found the joy. I kind of loved that. Yeah. Like the heart of it, there is all this other really important commentary, but also Scrooge just found happiness and what that meant and what that looked like. Yeah. I didn't write page numbers, but I wrote a couple quotes down that I liked. I think I know Fred said the first one. I don't know who said the second one. But Fred said, "For it is good to be children sometimes, and never better than at Christmas, when its mighty founder was a child himself." Like, I kind of just like that. Like, it's a commentary on children and the dire need to help the children at the time. But also, like, think about Christmas when you're a child. Yeah. As an adult, Christmas is fun. I love Christmas. Yeah. But it's just not the same. Yes. You lose that spark that Christmas had when you were a little kid.
It's so true. And I, like, talked to my parents about this, and they're like, when you have kids, it comes back.
Oh, I love that.
Because they're like, you grow up, and it's just not the same because you're paying bills, and sometimes your Christmas present is a new toothbrush. So, or, like, you're just trying to make ends meet. And when you have kids, like, you save because you want to give them that special time at Christmas. And they just say how, like, because you have kids, you live more like a child. Like, you see through more like a child. Yeah. And so I like that comment from Fred, because I believe it's true. And then that's the little Jesus moment that you get.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, because the founder was a child himself, and it's like, oh, that's so tender.
Oh, I didn't even think about Jesus. I thought of Santa Claus.
Oh, well, Santa also acts like a child, in a way.
I should have thought of that anyways, but
that's okay. No, it's fine. Like, I find that so funny. But I was like, oh, a little Jesus moment there.
But I like that idea of we should just kind of at Christmas time go back to being as little kids. Yeah. Because as a kid, I mean, everybody grows up, and some people had tragic childhoods, but
like they never got a childhood.
Yeah, but there's the special joy where Christmas just reminds you of family and being happy and being together, and it is just encouraged to, like, you're encouraged to be happy and find happiness, which I love.
Yeah, I love that.
And then so I think Scrooge says this at the end. I don't actually remember. While there is infection in disease and sorrow, there is nothing in the world so irresistibly contagious as laughter and good humor. I think that's when he's watching everybody dance for Christmas past.
Yeah.
I think that's when he says
during the festivities.
Yeah. But I love that. Like, the world is full of so much sorrow, disease, war, death. Yeah. But there's nothing so contagious as laughing. Have you ever just been like, this happens to me a lot, I'll be doom scrolling. Yeah. And there's a lot of, like, people complaining, a lot of negative things happen, but then I'll get, like, that video of a child laughing at a dog. Yes. And my whole mood changes.
I have, like, those specific videos in my head where it's, like, kids are, like, doing a prank and they can't stop laughing.
Yes,
and so they, like, can't even prank because they're laughing so hard.
Like, if they're trying to scare their dad, but they're hiding behind the couch and giggling.
They're, like, covering their mouth. Or, like, I love playing hide and go seek with my, like, nieces and nephews because my little nephew will be, like, covering her mouth trying not to laugh. And it's just so tender because, I don't know, life is so much more rich when you laugh and have good humor and, like, not get offended at every little thing. Like, I think joy is probably the best way to approach life. Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the very end, when Scrooge had his come to Jesus moment, and he is like, I need to be better, I need to change. He does it by spreading joy. Like, that's how he's going to help. Because, you know, we're not going to be able to fix world hunger today. We're not going to be able to fix war right now. Like, how are we going to fix it sitting in this room? Yeah. But we can, like, go about and be kind and spread happiness. Yeah. And then it is contagious. So then it'll spread all over the place. Yeah. But it has to start somewhere.
It's true. And I feel like Charles Dickens is such a good example of being optimistic while also not being naive, because he's like hates the situation, but he's like optimistic that there could be people like Scrooge, or even like Dickens himself has like all the right in the world to just hate and be angry and stay there, and I don't know, like not be a human, but he chooses to put the anger he feels in writing. And I think that's such a good example, especially these days, because I feel like so many people are like hurt or angry and they stay like that for a long time. Yeah. And I'm like, they just don't seem happy. And like, and it makes sense, like when people have horrible things happen to them or they're seeing the horrible things that happen in the world. But I feel like it comes down to like, we need to find a way to, I don't know, like off-put that. And Scrooge does it by focusing on others. Yeah. And I think that's like a lesson for me is like, I know I'm so angry, but there's things I can do around me in my family, around my neighbors, around my friends that I could do that'll make a difference.
Yeah.
And so like take that anger and find a way to like be
channel
of service
that energy
to those around you, because in the end you'll laugh again and you'll have good humor again.
Well, because I don't think it's a good thing to just be naive and just like go about life and be happy and be merry without any consequence to anything else that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But I do think it is important to like educate yourself, realize what's going on. And I do think if you are upset about something, then you have the right to be upset about that.
Uh-huh.
But like, what are you going to do to positively change that?
Yes.
Instead of just, I'm going to speak from like my own experience, but I've had moments in my life where I've been so upset or angry about the state of something.
Yeah.
And I'll just complain about it, but I won't actually do anything.
Yeah.
And then, my life doesn't get any better.
Yeah. You kind of just
Nothing
do
changes.
And it gets worse and worse and worse. And then that's all you want to think about.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will obsess over it versus if I go out and just like little things like post about something on Instagram, or just, even if it doesn't have to be related to what I'm angry about, if I just focus on others and how to uplift other people, then I do feel better about life.
Yes, absolutely. It's so hard. And I'm like thinking about these lyrics to a song that I feel like kind of fit.
While she's looking for that, I also want to say none of this is easy, right? Like, anger is such a strong emotion, and it's really easy to get stuck in it and be trapped in that. So it's not easy to like, because sometimes there is no joy in things, at least it feels like that.
Yeah.
But I do think Scrooge is a really good example of, like, I love the point where he buys a turkey and gives it but doesn't put his name to it. So like, even small things like that, you can do stuff like that.
And it's so good. And like, this book is just such a good reminder. And I feel like so many Christmas movies have been, or like stories have been modeled after this, because it's this idea that he says, like, I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me I may sponge away the writing on this stone, like of his grave. And so this is like the moment where I feel like a lot of people think this is where Scrooge changes, and like where I do feel like it's what got him over the edge, because he had to face his own mortality. But I think it started from the get-go. Like as soon as Marley showed up, he was like, oh no,
oh, this is bad.
And then as soon as the ghosts come, they slowly help him realize like the past and the present and the future, and those are all three things we should be thinking about. Like we should learn from the past, we should live in the present with how, like, noticing those, like the boy and the girl, and noticing those things in the world, and being able to like be selfless, and like having and being like, I don't know, being more generous, and then in the future just being like, who do we want to be, like what do we want. I don't know if it's necessarily like important to know like how do you want people to remember you by, because in the end, like 100 years from now, people are going to be living in the houses we worked super hard to build. Like using new cars that, like, I don't know, like
they might even be past cars.
Nothing is, and like in the end, like, this is probably like a depressing way to say it, but no one's going to really remember. But it's about like, how do you want to live, and like how do you want to be in the future? And so I think that this book is like so good. I'd like, and also like there's that commentary where it's like, you can't change in a night. And I'm like, I think that is true, like most of the time. Like, I don't think people can change all of a sudden. But I do think that there are moments in our life that we need to take advantage of as a moment to reflect. And there's like this, okay, so back to the Muppet Christmas Carol, because I love that adaptation. There's like this song that they sing at the very end, and it's, they go like, the love we found, we carry with us, so we're never quite alone. The love we found, the sweetest dream that we have ever known. The love we found, we carry with us, so we're never quite alone. Like, I think that's so sweet. And that's the other thing too, is like Scrooge, because of his decisions he made in life, he is alone. Like, he does live by himself, but he finds a way to like share love with others, so he's never really alone. And so I think that's so tender, is like what he gives to his nephew, how he cares for Bob Cratchit's family, how he invites everybody over for a feast. And like the Christmas Carol, it shows how he treats the prisoners and the people in the workhouses and the people in the streets. And the guy that asked for a donation in the book, he's like, a completely different person when he goes to him. And even like in the story, he asked for it on the doorstep and he pokes him with his cane through the door. But now he's like completely changed. And so it's just A Christmas Carol, I feel like, is such a good annual read.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone should. This is something that I do think, even if you're not a reader, everyone should read.
You should just read. Yeah, you should
just
read
like
this.
take 5 chapters to read
an hour.
this.
I think it maybe took me a little over an hour to read this.
Same. It took me 2 just because I'm kind of slow. But.
That's okay. But I mean, my other favorite quote's just at the very, very end, where it says his own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. Oh. I just love how simple that is. Like, he may have not cured everything, and he probably will still want to strive to help the children, help the poor, but in that moment in Christmas, his heart was laughing, and that was okay. Yeah. That was enough. He didn't need more. Yeah. Because he had what was most important around him.
Yes. I love that so much. And I love... Also, Tiny Tim is such an interesting character, because he doesn't really change at all. Like, in the story, he's just already a good person, despite his, like, disability.
Yeah, his disability.
And also just knowing that he probably is going to not live very long.
Yeah. That's another commentary, too, on kids who have disabilities. They can't go and work.
No.
So they probably will just die. Like, it's really depressing, but that's the reality of the time that was going on.
Yeah, and it was just, like, so tragic. But, like, the whole time he was always like, God bless us. Like, everyone. Like, he just wanted the best for everybody. And I'm just like, oh, that's so special. Like, for people just to genuinely want the best for others. And so while we could be, like, angry, like Dickens is, like, he's clearly angry about these things, but he also is, like, wanting the best.
I do think that's interesting. He did go from a pamphlet that was probably full of just, like, this, like, I am upset, I am angry, this needs to change, and formatting it in a way where that's still there. Yeah. But surrounds it with this, but we need to find joy still. Yeah. I think that's interesting. It makes the call to action more powerful to me.
100%. And I feel like it did change the way I read this book. Like, I didn't know this until after I read it, that used to be a pamphlet. Like, it used to be a pamphlet. It had nothing to do with Christmas. It was all about, like, I don't know, like, these child victims of neglect and abuse within this system that institutionally was built this way. Like, they had no other way to survive. And he was angry, but then he, like, was like, no, like, let's create a novella for this. And it was so good. And, like, he got the money he needed.
He got the money he needed. It sold out in a couple days.
Yep, it sold out, like, before Christmas even arrived, and then has been in print ever since.
What is it, like 80 years, 90 years?
Oh, like,
I can do math, like 100 and...
No, like 100 plus.
I was like, wait,
if it was 1843 to 1943, it had already been a century. Yeah, so, like, it's been in publication for 100 plus years. Yeah. So
that's
like,
awesome.
Almost 2 centuries, probably. Yeah. Like, in the next 20 years, it'll hit that. So that's just so crazy. And so thank you for joining us as we read this book. I'm really glad. Like, of all the books we've read, I really enjoyed them, but I think this was, like, the right book to read for this month.
This felt like
it felt good.
Like a breath of fresh air.
Yes. And we just hope that this puts you in a good headspace this holiday season. If it's hard for you or if it's fun for you, just think of others a little bit, and we'll do the same. But
yeah, and reach out to people. Also, like, there's always someone out there that's either struggling as much as you are or even more. There's always people like that out there. Yeah. So
I really like this quote I saw the other day, like, happiness shared is double the happiness, sorrow that's shared is half the sorrow. So I thought that was really nice. So sometimes I'd like to be a recluse with those kinds of things, but
me too.
I do think it is important to share and not feel so alone. But anyways, we're so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We will catch you guys next time for our bonus episode.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do a bonus episode.
And announce our next book. Yeah, you guys.
Okay, here's the thing. So
oh my gosh,
Lauren put me through Sarah J. Maas ACOTAR, and we're gonna do Fourth Wing. I've also never read it. We both collectively have kind of been putting off reading this book because there's that, like, oh, I don't know if I'll like it or not. And it's so beloved.
I think I might like it because I liked ACOTAR.
I think you will. So we're going to do kind of the same format where I recorded myself reading it. Lauren's going to record herself reading Fourth Wing. Yes. We kind of want to do another hot take style episodes. Just like make January a little bit more. January, I feel like, does get depressing.
Yeah.
You got the high of December. January's a little bleak.
Yeah.
So we want to add a little spice.
Yes, there definitely will be some of that. And just in case like people are watching this and haven't had the context of past videos, ACOTAR, everyone probably knows this, but it is an acronym for the book series A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah.
So that we had read that a few months past. And yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure how you'll like it because I feel like a lot of people that liked that series likes Fourth Wing.
We'll see. We'll stay open-minded.
We'll be open-minded. We'll enjoy it. We'll be entertained.
Yeah.
Definitely a genre flip from A Christmas Carol, that's for sure. But
oh yeah.
but anyways, thank you guys so much. We're gonna send out a bonus episode, so stay tuned for that this month.
To get 3 episodes this month.
You get 3. Woo! Wow, you're gonna listen to us talk. You're gonna listen to us yap. Lots.
Literally.
Yeah. We have you in mind when we make these. We really do.
We do.
Except
we also want to do what we think is fun. Just a little bit.
Because this is also like a passion project.
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyways, thank you guys so much. We're excited to read Fourth Wing, and we'll make sure to announce that on our social media.
Yeah. We'll see you in the I guess we'll see you in the bonus episode or in the new year. I don't know the order of this stuff coming out, so
yeah.
Bonus episode or new year, whichever.
We'll
see you
figure
then.
it out. Bye.